Hi, welcome to the world of medical terminology. My name is Erica Harvey, and I'd like to present to you MedEase. It's a system that helps teach medical terminology and make it a breeze. Every person utilizes their native language daily, and each person's language is different, and in the world of medicine, that is no different. Students seeking a career in the medical field have to learn a whole new language to perform at a professional level, and that can be quite a challenge. Nursing students are a prime example of this. Oftentimes, the best nurses aren't the straight-A student or the overachiever. In fact, some of the best nurses on the floor become nurses at a later period in their life, having been out of school for quite some time to raise families and do other things. So coming back into school to learn a whole new world and its language is especially daunting. I'd like you to meet one such student. Meet Sandra Crowder, and Sandra has been the head of CNAs in the Wake Medical Hospital's acute rehabilitation ward for over 20 years. Sandra started out with the ambition of becoming a registered nurse, but due to circumstances, some of her own making and some not, was never able to continue on. After high school, she became pregnant and then got her certification as a nursing assistant. She had 2 more children and never got married, so she's had to work doubles most of her career to put food on the table and take care of her kids. Her workplace decided to honor her and knew of her lifelong goal to be finally finish school and become a registered nurse. So they honored her on her 20th anniversary and for her exceptional patient care and dedication to the ward with a full scholarship to any nursing school that she was able to get into. Sandra is incredibly excited at the thought of finally being able to attain her dreams, but at the same time, she voices fear of failing, of not being able to learn a whole new language, and her previous unsuccessful attempts in school. So our challenge was how to make an application that is easily understood by someone that is not technologically savvy, do it in a way that speaks to the tenets of adult learning theory, and make it something that takes the roadblock of learning something huge out of that picture and breaks it down into engaging, easily understood pieces. We believe that by incorporating more interactive activities in our application, such as providing experiences where they're given a scenario and then they're required to answer questions that utilize newly learned terminology in context, will enable Sandra and others like her to learn the appropriate terms and when to use them so that she can begin to feel more confident in her ability to converse with other staff in a more empowered manner. We incorporated gamification, because it's proven that having fun and playing games will help improve retention. We did interactive because adult learning theory talks about adults needing to know why it's being done, and they need to be able to be kinesthetic, get their hands dirty, utilize it so that it's not just them listening, but using all their senses to take something in and process it and store it. It also needs to be contextual because they need to know how they're going to be able to utilize this in their day-to-day lives and how it's going to affect their positive performance at work. And mobile, especially mobile, because these people have extremely, extremely busy lives. So I started off utilizing the things that I learned during the user interviews and married those with the business goals and needs, necessities that were laid out in our design brief. Some of those were that there needed to be a way to log in, a way to sign up, a way to boost your membership level, a way to add a vocabulary word and its definition and review them, and a way to learn new vocabulary words. I took all of those and I designed the user flows for this application. And one of the big things I wanted to make sure was that people like Sandra were feeling like they were empowered to control their way of learning. And so that meant that they were able to decide what levels they wanted to challenge themselves at and what exact things they wanted to learn. I began by making initial sketches of one of the game's progressions. I utilized very low fidelity, hand-drawn sketches, and I used what's known as the Oz method for user testing. And that means that when the person used my application, which is the sketches that were drawn, if the person presses something that a modal needs to appear, then I, being the application, will place a sticky note on top of the screen, just like a modal would appear on top of a screen online or on your phone. After that, I went ahead and I incorporated mid-level prototypes on using the platform of Marvel. It's something that I have used in previous projects, and I found it very, very easy to be able to upload my sketches and then design in the program the medium fidelity prototypes to make it easier for my participants to use. I tested 4 different things with my participants. All participants needed to meet the certain criteria, and these criteria were that they had to be either now a student or working in the medical profession where utilizing medical terminology was a was just part of their day-to-day routine. I went from my initial sketch testing with some of my friends, thinking that I was going to be the first ever known to man designer to have the perfect application during usability testing. The gods of hubris impaled me upon their sheaths of humility and let me know how wrong I was. The 4 things that they needed to do were to sign up to play a game, to go to their membership page and upgrade. They were supposed to be able to play a game called MD Ordered What, and then they needed to be able to add a piece of terminology to review. It all would have gone perfectly except for the fact that I made the huge mistake of not linking my screens properly. So the first 3 users, well, 2 of them were not able to complete the task, and the last one was able to complete it, but he had to go through a complete workaround that someone that only used mobile technology and applications a lot would be able to figure out. So that wasn't going to be any good for someone like Sandra who doesn't have that kind of technological level. What we needed to do was we needed to fix a lot of things. I initially went ahead and fixed the main error, which was the signing up and getting to the membership page. I did that so that I could actually test to see if it worked and it wasn't just a false negative because of my mistake. So I fixed the screens and I tested 3 more people. I also incorporated feedback from the first 3 users that tested about confusion with the names that I used as labels for the game levels. The way that they were able to get out of a game and go back to the home screen or try it again or do it with a different level proved to be a bone of contention. And then there was a lot of problems trying to figure out where to go for your membership upgrade. So I took all of that and I made some small minor changes, and from those changes, the next 3 showed signs of extremely faster completion rates for each task. I also utilized questionnaires at the end of their testing to ask their likes, dislikes, and anything else. Plus, I used what's known as the System Usability Survey. This is a 1 through 10 question liker test, 1 being absolutely strongly disagree, 5 being absolutely agree. And from this, you're able to get a usability score. It looks like it comes as a percentage, but it's actually percentile. Normal percentile for application is 68. You're also able to discern a learnability value and a usability value from these things. My overall total for this application came in at 89th percentile, or what they consider a B+. So that was pretty good. The learnability was in the high 90s, and the usability was in the 79. So overall, there is some promise with this application. User feedback was that it was something that they would have liked to have had or would use, but there were some issues that they didn't like some of the colors, and that some of the information wasn't as clear. So I need to fix the navigation. I had to simplify signing on, and I had to clarify my phrasing. What was done? I made adding terminology more clear so that they got instant feedback that yes, in fact, their word that they had entered and that definition had been entered. I made changes to the levels of names. So instead of just being new, because everyone was like, huh? I went to first year nurse, and they all understood that. And then I actually made an easy to use sign up form that was linked properly. My next steps is to optimize the flow. I would add in user suggested features like dark mode, like being able to highlight terminology in the different applications games so that they can focus on those in either the reviews or in further games so that they can get those down pat. And I would then take the user testing outcomes and the business goals, and then I would design a brief that would translate that all over to developer speak. What have I learned from this? First of all, don't become attached to one design or feature. It's just not good. I fell in love with something that was proven to be horrendous by my testers, and so I had to eat crow and get rid of that. Always, always, always keep the design brief in your mind. You can't have a job if you can't give your stakeholders what they want, and business goals is imperative to keep in mind. I went off the reservation and started trying to design a little bit more, and it just didn't work. Empathy, empathy, empathy. My biggest soapbox is to advocate for patients and for users. You've got to keep them in mind in whatever you do so that the product is actually usable by them and something that they will want to use. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.